Hi, I have a VT52 and a PyDP11, which is a Raspberry Pi in a PDP-11 replica case. It's running Ristus Basic Plus, and I've written a brand new version of the classic Star Trek game that uses VT52 control codes to make it more graphical. I had heard that way back when there was a VT52 version of Star Trek, but I couldn't find the code for it, so I decided to write a new one from scratch. I want to give you a quick tour of the game and then talk about what it was like to return to Basic Plus programming after 42 years as a software engineer. So here's the Space War game as published in David All's famous book of computer games. And it's asking us, do you want instructions? They're long. And you must type capital Y, capital E, capital S to get them. And look what happens. I know, right? So let's look at the new Trek 52. It's paginated! Hooray! And like the Unix more command, you can just press a key to continue to the next page. You don't have to hit return. And when you're done, you press the proverbial any key. And then we enter the game. We have a quadrant map, a galaxy map, the damage report, a command area, a direction chart, and a reminder of the legal commands. If we do a long-range scan, the galactic map gets updated. Notice you don't have to hit return, you just type the letter of the command. Ristus and Basic Plus had a really convoluted way of doing this, but it was possible. We'll raise the shields and the energy levels get updated. Today is a good day to die, so let's fire a torpedo at that Klingon. The Klingon gets erased from the quadrant map, the galactic map is updated, and so is the number of Klingons and the number of torpedoes left. So you get the idea. This would have been hot stuff in 1975. And if you're watching this, you probably already know the game, so I won't go through it anymore. I did, however, add a couple of things. Like if a damaged system gets repaired, the original game would say that Spock used a new technique. My game sometimes says that too, but it can also say that Scotty exaggerated the time to repair, or that McCoy fixed the system. Turns out he's not just a doctor.
I'm a doctor, not an engineer.
No, you're an engineer.
So what's it like? Programming like it's 1979? In a word, intolerable. There's no way I want to go back to entering lines of text directly into the basic interpreter. There's a video text editor I can use, which, by the way, is based on Tico macros, but is not Emacs. But even that's too much of a step back. Look what happens, for instance, if I do a page down. That's a screen refresh at 9600 baud. Let me show you how spoiled I've become. This is how I wrote the basic program. This is on my Windows PC. I have a VT52 emulator that is telnetted into the PyDP11. This is where I run the Trek 52 program. I have another terminal window telnetted into the PyDP11. This is the one where I edit the code using the Tico-based video editor. And over here I have Notepad++ running, showing the full code of the Trek 52 game. This is where I can rapidly scroll back and forth and search for things. Of course, it's not synchronized with the changes I make in the terminal window, so periodically I list the entire program, capture the output, and copy it over to the Notepad++ window. And that's still easier than working at the VT52 terminal. At least my programming has improved. Here's the code for the old version of Star Trek. I didn't write it, of course, but it's probably typical of the code I would have written back in the 1970s. Cryptic variable names, lots of go-tos, no comments, a smattering of subroutines. And this is a limitation of the language, but the subroutines are unnamed, just identified by their line numbers, and they don't take arguments. Here's how I wrote Trek 52, and I've clearly changed. First, since I was writing this in a text editor instead of entering it into the BASIC interpreter, I could have a limitless number of comment lines without line numbers. Since they don't have line numbers, the interpreter will discard them, and they won't use up any memory, which, by the way, is limited to 16K. Next, BASIC Plus allowed long variable names. I don't remember if I knew this back in high school, but it's a big improvement. BASIC Plus also offers while loops and until loops, but I chose not to use them so that my program would run with older versions of BASIC Plus that didn't support them. Older versions, however, still supported a hybrid for while loop, and I used that. Still, the lack of a C-like break or continue statement forced me to use a few go-tos, as did the on-arrow go-to mechanism. But here's the big thing. BASIC subroutines don't have names, but user-defined functions do. And in BASIC Plus, they're allowed to be long names. So each part of Trek 52 is implemented as a function. The torpedo command, the warp command, and so on. I think if Ed Dykstra had seen this, maybe he'd say there was some hope for BASIC programmers. Well, I hope you found this interesting. And if you'd like a quick tour of my retro computing themed office, check out this other video. Thanks for watching. Bye.